Hi everyone, and welcome to this YouTube recording on the HSI channel. And today we're going to do something a little bit different. Today I'm talking to Riham Ahmed, and in the past, most of the videos that we've created have been conversations with practitioners about projects that they have completed. So it may be something they did a couple of years ago or even just a few months ago, but the work is behind us, and now we are reflecting together on this work that has been accomplished. But today, instead, Riham is going to share with us a project that is still in the design stages. So, Riham, set the context for us in whatever way you wish.
Sure. Hi, Jamie. Thanks for having me. So basically, the last few years, I don't know if everyone's been noticing, but it's been quite challenging for the Muslim community of Quebec. There's public debates around reasonable accommodations, the Charter of Values that came with Pauline Marois a couple of years ago, Bill 62 a few months ago, or maybe I think a little bit more than 6 months ago, just overnight banned the niqab, which is the face coverings for Muslim women, out of certain contexts. So often that resulted in Muslim Quebecers being cast as culturally regressive outsiders. Um, in addition, Islamic rhetoric, hate crimes against Muslims have rising exponentially. And that's not only in Quebec, it's obviously in the US and the rest of the world. But, just if we know that just last year, 6 people were killed and 20 are injured at the Quebec City mosque shooting. So that hits home. It's right next door. All of that has taken a toll on our community. And again, today, when we talk about Muslims in Quebec, and we still continue to talk about, expressions of discomfort, distrust, fear, endless scrutiny of our community and misconceptions around Muslims, and all of that a mental toll on our community. So there's a sense of helplessness. People are leaving, or at least thinking of leaving the province of Quebec. Young families that I know have left. Some have come back, but a lot have left, especially with the Pauline Marois, Charter of Values issue. But I believe after, a few years, it's been since 2008, since I took Marilyn Emery's course, the Open Systems Theory course, I've been thinking about this, but now more than ever, I think that organizing a search conference with the purpose of envisioning and co-creating the future of the Montreal Muslim community, and I'm thinking for the year 2022, so about 4 years, that can give a sense of energy, empowerment, and a motivation to enact positive change and try to take control of our own narrative. I think it's something that is absolutely needed right now in our community, in the Muslim community of Quebec. And I'm starting with the Montreal Muslim community and the greater Montreal Muslim community, basically.
Right. Okay. So, many of the people who will be listening to this will be familiar with the search conference and what it is. Some people may not be. Can you tell us a little bit about what a search conference is, what it's for, just very briefly, and then about this particular search conference that you're starting to put together?
Sure. So basically, the search conference is a grassroots cultural change method that mobilizes community members or organization members. So for this sake, I'm going to use the word community. So it'll mobilize community members to imagine its own future and draft a plan for that. So, in terms that we know called a strategic plan for the next 4 years. So the process usually involves between 20 and 25 people. They say Emery say that the perfect number would be between 20 and 25 people, and that's committed participants who are selected or nominated through extensive community consultation. It's a good chunk of a good slice of the community. So, representing the different groups and representing the different diverse concerns and interests of the community. The participants attend a 2.5 day process. So starts usually, let's say Friday night, and then Saturday all day, Sunday all day, and then ending with like a celebration of what we've just accomplished. And they're led through a series of activities and questions. The outcome of the process is usually a concrete plan, which includes like who, what, where, when, and how. the ideals for the future for the community, the short-term, long-term goals, and tasks with specific deadlines and timelines, basically saying who's doing what. So, and specifically for this case, I will encourage the community to include monitoring meetings that will be built in the plan, so that, let's say we're going to do this summer or in September. We're not 100% sure yet, but it's maximum in September, and we'll say, okay, we're meeting every 2 months to see basically to see what progress has been made, offer any support for the members that are working on any project at hand, or offer support for any challenges that may arise while we're trying to do the implementation. That way, we basically ensure that the implementation process of the plan that we just talked about or we just created is hopefully it's successful in the 4 years that are to come.
Right. Now, you use the words the Muslim community, mm-hmm. and I hear this, and I hear a sort of monolithic community, like an integrated group. But many communities are actually quite diverse, and so I wonder, what do you see as the challenges of holding this event, and the challenges of working with this particular community?
Yeah, many, because it's not a monolith. It's not a one culture, let's say. Let's just take it at that. First of all, especially Montreal, especially Montreal, not Quebec City, not any other parts of Canada. Montreal is unique in the fact that it is bilingual. It's so bilingual, especially in our community, that some people do not speak English at all, and some people do not speak French at all. So there's this French community that has its own organizations, French Muslim community, and obviously its own services. And then there's the English community, mostly South Asians, Pakistani, Indian, and Bangladesh countries that are mostly Anglophones and have their own organizations and their own events, etc. Not that we don't want to mix. It's just because of the language barrier, there's just not really much mixing. So I've been housed almost entirely in the English community because of Concordia and the way I started volunteering in the organizations I'm a part of. It's mainly in English, and now I'm starting to talk while we're doing the planning for this. I'm trying to reach out to the French community, and I'm asking, okay, what are the services out there? And I'm realizing I didn't know that. I thought, I know most organizations in the community. That's not going to be a problem to establish, first contact. But I don't. People are telling me that there's so much services that are offered in the French community as well that I didn't know about. And I consider myself a person that kind of knows what's going on in my community. So that has been a challenge. And the only way is to sit with people, get invited to the events that are, mostly in the French community, and talking to people. Like, can you bring me on this, table of round tables that are in the French community only with French organizations, because I had never heard about it. So, so that has been very interesting and challenging at the same time. And then related to that is the event. If I want to reach the community at large and have a good representation of the community, it'll be a bilingual event. I am bilingual, but I'm not comfortable working yet in French. I haven't done a lot of projects in French. And so I don't know how that's gonna, and then how am I gonna be able to, make sure that the understanding of whatever plan is coming out of this search conference, it's understood and really, understood by everyone, because some people in the room might not speak English and some people might not speak French. So that's gonna be a big challenge for me to bring those two communities basically within my community together.
It's interesting that you're talking about a challenge or a set of challenges that all of the members of the community are facing in one way or another, and yet it's a fragmented community. So at the moment, one would imagine the response to these challenges is somewhat fragmented throughout the community. And to me, the way you're describing it, what you're looking for is to to try to find a way to create some more cohesion in order to allow the community to respond to these challenges as a whole and have more impact that way.
Yeah.
And another thing I'm curious about then is clearly there's going to be challenges, but just kind of given the way that I look at social change and social change processes, I usually think that there's always constraints as we try to move forward with something important and new. But there's also affordances. There's things that we've got going for us. So what have you got going for you, Riham, as you approach this?
Well, I mean, this can be also viewed as a challenge as an internal consultant because I'm part of the community. But it's becoming right now for me. It's working for me because as I present, people already know who I am. I've already been on boards of organizations, etc., within our community. So I'm not someone who just came out of nowhere and said, "Okay, I'm going to do this for our community. Please trust me." There's already a certain trust with the work that I've been doing for the last 10, 15 years in the community. So I'm not gonna, it's not extensive work, but I'm still in there. I'm still, I'm still talking to people. I'm still trying to do, my best. And now it's like, okay, now I need to step it up a notch and we're gonna do this together. And it's easier. People are I'd say more comfortable to express their concerns and challenges and anything that they're trying to express. It's not a fake relationship. I've noticed, and if I do go into an organization that doesn't know me, it's nice, all nice when I talk to them, and we're walking on eggshells in the beginning. This is I met a group recently. It's mainly French speaking, Muslims, and I sat with them and I said, okay, this is what I'm doing. They know me a little bit already. And they opened up, what, you're going to do this? Don't waste your time. And it's really, it was really a really open conversation. And they've they enumerated their challenges. Is this another, event we're going to sit around, you'll see, we'll sit around and talk about, it's almost not against me. It's about this is our community. We're just going to sit around and throw ideas and nobody's going to do any work, et cetera, et cetera. So I was okay, back and forth, trying to, yes, but this takes into account this and this takes into account that. And so after maybe 3 hours of, I had 7 people around me, they kept saying, we're really sorry, but, we don't want you to waste your energy, come and, but it was really, at the end of it, the conversation came out, okay, how am I going to approach this? So it becomes successful and it actually works. We can't just put our hands down and say, okay, the community will never respond to this. Work with me here. How can okay, you could do this, address all these concerns, tell people that you're going to have, meetings throughout the 4 years so that we can get support and go through challenges together, etc. Tell them this in the email, tell them that in the email. I wrote the perfect email to invite people. So taking into consideration all these concerns because it was such an honest conversation. And I've been having conversations like that, you'd say, okay, part of me says, oh my God, I should just let go. It's the way the conversation is going. It's almost okay, yeah, you need to let go, Riham. But then when we talk through it, at the end, they say, oh, wow, this hasn't been happening in our community. It's literally, if there are meetings like that, it's just a one-time thing and that's it. We don't meet after that. It's just a one-time event and air out ideas and leave, right?
Yeah.
But this is not it. And I do believe in the search conference. So, and I do believe it, especially the implementation phase after it, I think the success rate is a lot higher than just the meeting airing out ideas, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
So I hear you talk about this with such force and conviction. And your story about the meeting with the individuals in this French language Muslim group and their very frank response to the idea and, enumerating all kinds of challenges and so on. So given that kind of thinking is at least part of what is out there among the people who you want to try to mobilize and bring together and affect change with, what is a realistic kind of goal for this search conference? Where do you think it might land? And it sounds to me like this is going to be a long process. You're talking about 4 years out there. So where do you think the search conference itself might land? What are some of the things that can be accomplished through that process?
Well, I think that the main goal, my main goal, and I think the community, when I do talk to the community, their main goal is to bring people together, especially from those two different sectors. And again, there's subgroups as well. Like there's the Pakistani Muslim community, and then there's the Egyptian Muslim. It's a little bit less like that. It's more French English, but there's always these subgroups in this large communities, and already bringing people together and knowing what's out there, so that when someone comes out and says, okay, I want to do this project, and in the community, if we do select people that represent the community, we'll know that this organization can house this new idea or this new project, because they have the means and they have the they have the space or whatever that's needed. So by having different people that represent the community at large, hopefully when there's an idea that can be taken by an organization, someone says, oh, Amal can take it, or Matt can take it, whatever organization that's out there, because I know that they do this, so they can, we'll talk to them. I'll talk to them, or a few of us will talk to them, and we'll create it under them. Now, the other part of it is we're going to help people think outside the box, right? So if there's ideas that come out that cannot be housed under any organization, then hopefully there's an ad hoc group that gets created, and the community is able to implement that with the support, with the network that we'll create in the next 4 years, and help, if we can help them apply for grants. Or most people don't know that they can apply for certain grants, because the person I know, because there's you talk to me about it, and there's a person that I know that works in grants, and tells me that I if you have this project, then I can help you apply to this grant, et cetera, et cetera. So if we know that these people exist in our community, we'll be able to not use them, but use them basically, or ask for their help, because now we don't cross ask for help from different parts of the community, because we're so isolated. But that's a big word, but in our little corners, right?
Yeah, part of the way that I hear what you're saying is that you can set very specific goals for something like this, and the fact is that you don't know everything that will come out of it. That bringing people together who are committed, who are energetic, bringing them together for an exchange within a loose but helpful and supportive structure can produce results that we cannot anticipate. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that could come out of this that could be very helpful and beneficial that really can't be anticipated right now.
Yes.
So what about, you talk about the different organizations and the different people, the different groups that might participate in this. How are you going to make that happen? Is there a selection process of some sort that you anticipate?
Yes, and the part of the fact that it took me so long to actually go ahead and take the step to start this was because I was thinking about it the wrong way. I was thinking, okay, I'm going to go to a couple of organizations and say, can you select people that represent your organization? Okay, and then do a search conference with those people. When I went about it the other way, which I just figured out a year ago, and that's what gave me the push to go at it, is I will ask individuals in the community to nominate other individuals, and that's how the selection process happens. Is Emery calls it the community reference system, and it's a modified community reference system. I wouldn't say I'm using it 100%, but the point is to have, we say, okay, well, the community is comprised of, seniors, Anglophones, Francophones, people. We try to say, 20% of the people that are selected are seniors, and then 10% are between the age of this and this, so that it's almost perfectly represents the community. 50% women, 50% men, 50% French, 50% English speakers. and then ask people to nominate three to five individuals to come to this. We give them criteria. They have to be 18 and over for this particular conference, self-identifying as Muslim, etc., and committed. Right? We include the word committed in our email, and then we ask for nominations. And whoever, the person that's nominated 20 times is probably going to end up invited to this conference. So that's how the selection is being made. And it was easier for me to approach individuals because individuals can represent many different organizations. I can sit on different boards. I can be, a mother, a grandmother, a sister. It's not a French speaking English speaker. I can represent different organizations and sectors at the same time, and concerns, etc., at the same time, and interests, as opposed to, okay, well, I'm going to go to one big organization and they'll send me 3 people and they're representing their organization, because that's also a challenge for people. If their point of view is, I'm representing my organization here, so I'm going to try to I'm going to try to get whatever or I'm going to try to work as a representative of that organization. But if I'm coming and this is my network, well, that's part of it too. Here's the network that we have in the room. So we have more access to a lot more organizations and a lot more sectors that way. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, thank you. There's Riham, I know from other conversations that we have had that you have a great deal of lived experience in lived experience of diversity in different community and workplace settings. And so I just, the fact that we're sitting here talking about this, how I would say this is I'm going to invite you to make a contribution to the understanding of the people who are out there, listening to us right now. And then also invite you to, or ask you if you would like to invite them to make a contribution to this important effort that you're doing. So here's how I want to do that. First of all, we have most likely watching this all kinds of people who are either working as consultants to different kinds of organizations, different kind of communities, or hope to be soon. And so is there anything that you would like to say to them about the affordances and constraints, the things that they should be considering if they would like to consult to a primarily Muslim organization?
Okay. Yeah, sure. I mean, Muslim or any religious or cultural group, I'd say, sure. Because even as a person of Muslim faith, I've worked in organizations, and I took for granted that I knew the ins and outs of how to consult, and there's certain things that every organization is different in, and every almost community is different. And so I would go in assuming that, I know my stuff, but no, I should have asked that, how, I know that, but let's say shaking hands or random things that can right off the bat, create this certain, oh, you didn't know that we don't shake hands, because there's certain people in the Muslim faith that do shake hands, or, being out and I don't know. I'm giving you specific examples, but there are a lot of really, really subtle things that can happen that could cause the person, the client system to react in a certain way, and you wouldn't necessarily understand why until maybe if they tell you the feedback after. And that happened to me in a Muslim organization that I consulted with last year. So I would say, make sure that you sit and say, I'd like to have an honest conversation about what is it that I do not know about this culture, or do not know about the specific religion that I need to know in order to consult in is there, in a way that is respectful, because we might think, oh, that's weird that I can't, stand in front of the group the entire time. I'd have to sit and stand and be mindful of my space around men, let's say. And I'm going to be very honest with you. and I wasn't aware of that, like being too close, or how do I walk between the aisles or between people. That's very subtle, and we might think, oh, like that shouldn't be a problem, like why, being arrogant as we are, our culture, we're going to say, well, I'm not going to care about that. They need to take me as I am. No, but you want to create trust, right? So that's part of creating trust and understanding the other, and without judgment. So any cultural or religious difference can make it. And if then people, it's just easier to create the relationship, right? If they see that you're mindful of that, it's just, they'll be able to tell you if you've created that bond in the beginning, or that trust relationship in the beginning. They'll be able to tell you, oh, actually that's inappropriate, or we need to pray now because it's 1:15, let's say. So that's something that you wouldn't know as a non-Muslim, or doing your breaks around, or doing your interventions around prayer time. That's something that not a lot of people would know to do. And so I would ask a lot, and I would have that conversation up front, like, I'm not part of this. So I'm not part of this culture. Please help me. Or ask other consultants like me, or, if you're working in a, I don't know, Jewish, anything. It could happen in any conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you. That I like that image of simply being honest and having that conversation at the start, that is a kind of an invitation for us to get to know each other better, and us to not take for granted that we know how to work together, but rather have a conversation about, given cultural differences, how might we work together so that we are both pleased with the results. So, and the other thing then is, right now you're communicating with this community, this community of graduates from the HSI program, and any others who have chosen to access this YouTube channel and listen in on these conversations. And so what is it that you would like to ask of them? How might they contribute to this very important project that you're currently designing?
Well, I would invite any ideas or suggestions, or maybe tell me about a challenge that I might face if you've already worked with cultural communities, or had an event that is bilingual, which is quite difficult, where, people who might not be Francophones and people who might not be Anglophones working together and creating a plan like that. I find that the biggest challenge right now. So if you have any suggestions, comments, please email me. I think Jamie's gonna add my email at the end. And if if I'm going to share this on my network too. So if you know that, if you want to nominate people, the deadline for nomination is April 30th. If you want to nominate individuals, we're looking for individuals aged 18 and over, self-identify as Muslim, reside in the greater Montreal area, and that includes Vaudreuil, which, where I am now, and are able to communicate in either French or English. Those people need to be invested in the community, want a better future for the community, and are prepared to work collaboratively for its success. And that's a long-term relationship. So over the next 4 years, we're going to do this. We're sending the emails right now, and we're inviting people to nominate. So I'd really appreciate if you think, oh, I know the perfect person for that, please email me, and I'll appreciate that. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Thanks, Riham. That was really, really clear. And just as Riham said, in the little descriptor underneath this video on the page in the channel where you access this video, you will see Riham's email address. And she assured me before we started this that she was really sincerely interested in hearing from people. So if you have suggestions, ideas of the sort that she was just describing, please do get in touch with her. Okay, Riham, thank you very much. I hope that maybe we'll have a chance to talk about how things go as you move forward with this, and I wish you the very best of luck with this important project.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you for having me.